Hi, this is Meghna. We have never met before. I am today here on behalf of Malavika. Unfortunately, she was unable to make it today. She has a medical emergency in her family. I am going to be coordinating this event. So we'll start with what collaborative art space is. Collaborative art space is something that Malavika started in 2021. The very first project, 2021, was started with Kirti, who will probably join us today later. The project was inspired by her collaboration with artist Devonte Bradley. And further moving forward, she decided that for children too, we should have something where they're allowed to collaborate. So she decided to start the next project, which is New Day, New Month, New Year. So for New Day, New Month, New Year, we have kids aged 14 to 18 who are collaborating together, two people from different schools who are collaborating together to create work. And we have some wonderful works here today. So I think I'll just start with the walkthrough. I'll just call out the artist's name. If you're here, please unmute and you can start talking about your artwork. The first person, the first group here today is Shriya Chandran and Shomodipta Sarkar. Anybody present?
Yep, I'm here.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So tell me about your artwork. We'll start with Shriya and then we can move to Shomo.
Okay. Good evening. I'm Shriya Chandran, a student in 10th. I love creating aesthetically pleasing pieces, filled with emotion. And I like to call myself an artist. I've been doing art for ages and ages. Everyone has, in fact. Drawing those two triangles we call mountains with an arc in between we call the sun. The kind with those sketch pens which ran out of ink way too quickly. Coloring the drawings which were praised for, and the ultimate gift, putting it on the fridge. But what I mean in this context is that I still do that. I still scribble and sketch and convey what I want to this way. Techspression has provided a marvelous opportunity for me to collaborate with another artist. Digital art wasn't a completely new experience for me as I got into it a few years back, but working with someone and creating something completely new, reflecting on what I've done. Apart from it actually helping me to find time for art with my boards coming up and all. I think we need to focus on the stuff we did instead of what we didn't or couldn't do. I experimented with different styles, even with the collaborative pieces with Shom. Maybe I'll look at it later and want to tear it down, but I think at least right now, all of it conveys what I want to say. Well, I hope you enjoyed the art, take it in and absorb it, and see if you can relive what the artist, in this case, both of us and the other artists coming up, are going through.
Lovely. Thank you so much.
And I've not got a message as, well, elegant as Shriya's, but in the same way, I've always been creating, I've always been drawing since a young age. And quite recently, I've started taking on digital art. And with digital art, I feel I've really been able to push the limits of what I'm able to do. I get to experiment and I get to manipulate images and kind of play around in a more freeing and expressive way. And with Techspressionism, I got the opportunity to collaborate with someone. And that really pushed me out of my comfort zone because I've been I work in like my own style, and I always stick to that, and I kind of keep to my own ways. But by having to work with someone else, I have to think outside of the box. I have to learn to accommodate, and I have to learn to work with others. So I really liked the experience that Expressionism, this event, gave me. And with our collaborative works, I was really happy with how it came out. We got to see a little bit of each of our own styles in it, my coloring in one and her line art in the other, and vice versa. We got to see our own interpretations of our really successfully got across the idea that we wanted, just the ideas of happiness and comfort, what small comfort there is during the pandemic.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Sorry, there's a bit of disturbance in the audio. Give me 1 second. Okay, so thank you, Shriya and Shomu. We'll next move on to the second group, which is Mansa and Shane. Do we have either of them here?
Yeah, hi, this is Shana here.
Hello, Shane. Go ahead.
So, right, may I begin?
Yeah, sure. Begin.
Thank you. So 2021 has been quite a difficult year for us. Sometimes we felt like giving up. Sometimes we felt like we can't do things. Some of us may have had self-esteem issues. Some of us have had to face our own demons. But what matters are the little things in life. What matters is that you see the beauty within the chaos. Sometimes you may end up dancing for yourself, but you never know. It may actually provide entertainment for other beings. Sometimes we see angelicized versions of ourselves, and here's what I think. Expressionism and digital art, while being relatively new to me, is something that I've heard of quite often, especially the 2014 Wired article, if Picasso had a MacBook Pro. And that's what inspired me to buy a digital tablet this year. And when I heard about the collaboration, I immediately said yes. And my partner has been the most amazing person in the world to work with. You get to see a bit of her style in the beauty and the chaos and the little things. And you get to see a bit of my style along with my love for Japanese merchandise in the other two collaborate in my individual piece Kagura, which literally means God Entertainment in Japanese, and the other piece, Victory Year. Lastly, I'd like to say that for everybody who couldn't make it, these pieces are for them, because they should know that something good has come even in the worst of years. Thank you.
Okay, lovely. Thank you so much. Mansa is not here. I don't think so. Is she? No. So we'll move on to the next group.
No,
we'll move on to Viranshi and Aprajita. Yeah. We'll move on to Viranshi and Aprajita. Are they here? Anybody? Viranshi, Aprajita?
Yeah, I'm Aprajita and
Hi. Yeah.
hello to everyone here. And the process of like making an artwork has always been a great experience. And here also the thinking, like the syncing of different thoughts and ideas that my partner and I had was a new experience. And I expected it to be a lot more difficult than it actually ended up being. I've always liked to sketch and then play with colors and lines and strokes. And digital art is something that I started about 2 years ago, and then I fell in love with the entire thing. Just the added freedom of the digital aspects of it with layers and the redo button. And the theme as well, happy moments, was a thing that had just have me look at moments in my life this year that were happy to pick out the slightly more brighter spots in the otherwise mostly gloomy year. The collaboration was also new. I generally don't really like to mess with other people's work and don't like it when they mess with mine, but I've ended up realizing that messing with the thing is not really the right word, at least not the negative aspect of it. It's more so just working with it and just adding something to something. And the way you can see both my partner and I style differently and also together is really the beautiful thing about collaborations. And this project as well, the entire collaborative art space, is just an incredible idea, and I'm infinitely glad that it happened and that it's working on getting people from all around the world a little closer without the fear of getting sick. All in all, this project was like one of the most positive aspects of this year, and I'm really glad that Malavika ma'am made this happen. And I'm certainly looking forward to working on more projects with a collaborative art space any chance I get. I'm just really happy that I got to be part of this incredible journey.
Thank you. Lovely, Aprajita. Do we have Viranshi too? Okay, so if we don't have Viranshi, we'll move on to the next group, which is Aditya and Dhruv. Either of them present?
Yes, ma'am. Aditya here. I am
Hi,
present.
Aditya.
Yes. So first of all, I'd like to say a very, very big thanks to whoever made this possible. It's really a creative, and it's just this more to get people together and to work together on one certain piece. So I'll have to first of all thank them. And about the experience, um, first of all, I met new people, which meant I created a new relationship with another person, and talking to them really shows how I could, convey their message and how I can express them in the form of an art. In my art right here, um, we decided that because of COVID, since there were so many disadvantages and advantages, there should be a middle space, a gray area. So we expressed that in our piece. So here, the negative thing about COVID was that we couldn't go out, but the positive thing was our environment changed, which means less pollution, environment really. So in this piece, I conveyed the message that to like to get something, to see something you like, you have to sacrifice something else. So here, COVID was some sort of a sacrifice, and here you can see the character is actually looking out towards the sky, looking at stars, and looking at how beautiful the sky is.
Hello? Hello? Okay, I think the connection dropped. Thank you
Yeah,
so much,
sorry, ma'am. I was
Aditya.
actually muted. So
Okay.
our second piece was actually about spending family time together. So COVID did a great impact on our family relationships. So here we can see that there's a family sitting on the sofa looking at the TV. So this sorts of shows a bonding time with the family of one another, and looking towards one common topic and being on one page of the family and life. And on my individual artwork, um, I wanted to show what time can do for us, because one wrong step and our motivation can really just decrease to zero. So here I wanted to show that with the right steps, you can change your life completely. you, as COVID came on, it wasn't the best thing and it wasn't the best part of our lives, but what it showed us was we have to be stronger on our own, and we have to be keep ourselves busy and doing stuff we like. So here we can see that this character actually helped himself transform into another person completely while changing his physique. So here you can see the two sides of one person. One side is that he's a little bit unhealthy and he does not have a smile on his face, while the other side shows how he's positive and how he has improved his lifestyle. Thank you.
Thank you so much. One request, whenever you're talking, anybody's talking about their art, please mention the individual art, or whether it's a collaborative art, or if you can, the name, just so that I can zoom in closer to it. And yeah, we'll now move on to the next group, which is Ashmi and Sparsh, either of them present here.
Yeah, I'm here. Hello.
Hello. Hi. Go ahead.
Okay, so for our four works, at least from in my perspective, I was trying to go with something around happier memories of that I had this year. Mostly about how the world almost opened up more than it did in 2020. So I wanted to show the first moments of maybe me and my friends, or all of you probably met your friends for the first time in a long time this year. So with my first piece, which is the collaborative one called Come Sit With Us, It's Been a Long Year, the title almost says it itself. It's about a group of friends welcoming one of their old friends to a table. It's supposed to be like a cafe, and they've met after a long, long time. You can kind of see that it's almost like a story, as in you can kind of imagine what happens next after the character enters into the frame and talks to these other friends that we are assuming. Yeah, so this is about, as I said, the happier memories of 21 that we decided to make as a collaborative art piece. I worked on the base model and sketched out everything, did basically the rudimentary painting part, and then my partner Sparsh, he did all the detail work and the picture frames you can see in the background. That was all him. We can move to the next piece. So this one is an individual piece. In my artwork, I try to find some sort of story to convey through at my artwork. With this one, I try to show almost like, yeah, you know, when you're sitting at home watching maybe a show, there's always subtitles at the bottom. So this is the kind of feel I was going for with this is once again a story about a group of friends hanging out, but this time in a playground. I would say the whole thing about the playground is because that's where I usually hung out with all of my friends during the 2021 lockdown. So yeah, the text in the bottom says like stop filming, and then somebody, the other character we're assuming, is saying that they don't want this moment to stop. Another thing I like with my artwork is dynamic lighting in some way. So I try to do that with both of my pieces. I think Sparsh can talk about two of his himself if he wants
Yes.
to.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Good evening, everyone. I'm Spurs. So I have started a digital painting just few months back, and I'm always on my toe to try something new related to digital painting. Also, my working experience with my partner Asmi was wonderful. Has been wonderful. She is top notch in her game and has helped as a senior in improving my work. So in my first art piece, my message to you is that this COVID pandemic was a blessing. It was a blessing in disguise for me, as my both parents are working. And we had enjoyed our family time during lockdown by playing card games and other indoor games. But like at the same time, I was not able to meet my friends physically. But we still were connected through online gaming, which actually made our friendship bond strong. Can you move to other art piece? Yeah. So from my individual art, this is my individual art. I have tried to show that how we were able to do all the things which we planned, but were not able to do due to our busy schedule, like watching movies, shows, and etc. And also rewatching old movies which we had seen during our childhood. So it gave us a feeling of nostalgia. So um, thank you.
Thank you to everyone. It was so great to see such young people have so much passion for art and the willingness to throw themselves into something which is completely new and something that they might have never done before was wonderful. We'll now switch to Colin, who is the founder, I will have to say, of the Tech Expressionism movement. He coined the word Tech Expressionism in 2011, and it's wonderful to have him today. And he's going to talk to us a bit about Techspressionism and digital art.
Thanks, Meghna. And thanks for inviting me to this online event. It's a really great show to see, and really exciting to see young people working with technology in this way. When I was about the age of the artists in this show, most students really didn't use technology in their work. You know, I was sort of unusual in that way, and I was in high school back in the 1980s, and had a Commodore 64, and kind of, you know, started experimenting with computer graphics on that computer. You know, the work in this show I thought was really interesting for a number of reasons. You know, the first one was that it kind of is a reflection of how COVID has affected human life and culture, you know, over the last year and a half or so. And also how technology has become such an integral part of being a young artist today, and how it's just so much more embedded in our lives than it was when I was of that age. And you know, young people using smartphones and computers, it's just almost like something that is, you know, they're digital natives. They grew up in a world where the internet was around before they were born, you know. And I can remember where the web, you know, when the web really started. And you know, I was lucky enough to be involved in doing web development back around that time, so I kind of got involved in it early on, but I never would have imagined it being as widespread and mainstream as it is today. I thought that the work in the show, it was interesting, you know, how the majority of the work was figurative, and you know, it really reflected the life experience and kind of ideas of all of the young artists involved. And the process of collaboration was something that an artist named Devante Bradley came up with through the Techspressionism project, or he, you know, came up with using it in the context of this project. That is, it was actually inspired by a collaboration between Andy Warhol and Jean-Michel Basquiat, two sort of artists who lived and worked primarily, I guess, in the 60s through 80s. Basquiat was later, but you know, they were known to collaborate, and so he came up with this idea of artists within the Techspressionism community passing digital files back and forth. And you know, we've done 2 of those exhibitions so far, and they've been really a lot of fun, and also have helped, you know, build a community through the interaction of the artists involved. Another thing that kind of I noticed when the artists were speaking is that, you know, it gave them the opportunity to talk about things like self-esteem issues or personal demons. I heard someone mention, you know, and I think art can be very healing and cathartic in a way. I did a series of paintings over the course of the pandemic that were about the pandemic. You know, I took some photos when my wife and daughter and I went and got tested, and it was a very frightening experience. There were people, you know, in camouflage, and it seemed like, you know, a very strange and surreal environment. So I took some pictures and used those as a series, you know, for a series of paintings. And part of that was, you know, just being able to process living through a time like this. And it's definitely been challenging. I like that there were these sort of stylistic references in the students' work. I noticed, you know, a lot of the images had a sort of style that seemed to be informed by manga, comics, which I'm definitely a big fan of, anime. Love, you know, films like Ghost in the Shell, Akira, that kind of stuff, and grew up reading comics. Also, I noticed one of them had a couple sort of like on a couch. It seemed like they were watching Star Wars. They had lightsabers on, something was going on the TV with lightsabers. So I definitely, that caught my eye because I've always been a big Star Wars fan. And you know, Star Wars is another instance where in popular culture, technology was used in a way to create something that was, you know, a real you're able to be immersed in this world that's a fantasy world. And even though it was Star Wars obviously was a giant collaborative project, it was still, in my view, a work of art in a way. Now, Techspressionism, it came about through, it was originally conceived of the word as the title for a solo exhibition. And I actually have a presentation. I'm just going to click through it really quickly because I don't want to take up too much time, but it'll give you a brief overview of where the ideas came from. So I'm just going to, if that's okay, share my screen, Meghna, and then you can
Yeah,
resume sharing. Okay.
definitely.
All right. So can you see my screen now?
Yeah, your screen is visible.
Okay, okay, and can you see the presentation now?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. First of all, I'd like to thank Collaborative Art Space and Malavika and Meghna for inviting me to speak today. And you'll see there's some QR codes on screen, and that's mostly for people watching this as a recording. If you'd want to scan them on a mobile device, it'll take you to relevant content. So just a little personal background. I was born in New York City in 1971 and have lived in New York State for most of my life. But recently I moved with my wife, Donna, and our daughter, Aya, who's 7, to a much more rural area, which is in a state called Vermont in the northern United States. So my practice as an artist spans both digital and traditional media. But today, I'm just going to really talk briefly about Techspressionism, which is a project I consider to be a social sculpture. And that's a term that was created by a German artist by the name of Joseph Beuys, that's spelled Beuys. And he created the term social sculpture back in the 1970s as a way to embody his understanding of art's potential to transform society. So as a work of art, a social sculpture includes human activity that strives to structure and shape society. And the central idea of a social sculptor is an artist who creates structures in society using language, thoughts, actions, and objects. So, I really consider Techspressionism at this point to be a social sculpture that's decentralized and collaborative and involves a lot of artists working independently and together to sort of move this idea forward. The current definition you can see on the screen, basically it's kind of a mashup of expressionism and technology. And expressionism is a long-standing tradition within the arts that started back in Europe in the probably early 1900s, I would say, starting with figurative work, and then later on abstract expressionism, and then neo-expressionism, and here we are with Techspressionism. And the current definition is an artistic approach in which technology is utilized as a means to express emotional experience. So I invented the term back in 2011 as the title of a solo show in Southampton, New York. And the catalog essay for that show was written by a woman named Helen Harrison. And that was the first usage of the term Techspressionism in print. Helen is the current director of the Pollock Krasner House and Study Center in New York, in Springs, New York, which is the former home and studio of artists Jackson Pollock and Lee Krasner. And some of you guys might be familiar with Jackson Pollock's work. He was famous for his drip paintings and was probably one of the best known abstract expressionists working in the 1950s. Helen is the director of basically like a historical location, which is where they both Pollock and Krasner lived and worked. And Krasner was also a painter, and she's responsible for setting up the Pollock Krasner Foundation, or Lee Krasner initiated the Pollock Krasner Foundation, which has given grants to many artists through the years, including both Malavika and myself. And Helen Harrison is now serving as our advisor for the project, which is really amazing. She provides a lot of art historical context. She's written a book about Jackson Pollock and was also a critic for the New York Times and curator at several museums out on the eastern end of Long Island, including the Parish Art Museum and Guildhall Museum. So back in 2014, I decided to write a manifesto to expand upon the ideas behind Techspressionism. And this manifesto was inspired by artistic manifestos of the past, including Andre Breton's Surrealist Manifesto and Marinetti's Futurist Manifesto. There's 10 points in the manifesto, but I feel that the first 3 are the most central. They are the first point is that the computer and technology in general are not separate from humankind, but they're a natural extension of us. The second point is that technology is a continuum which is as old as humanity, not a novelty or fad. And the third point states that the computer is one of a long string of tools which have enabled human expression, including the typewriter, the camera, the printing press, the pen, the pencil, and paint. And there's actually a revised version of this on Techspressionism.com that was penned by Patrick Lichty, who's one of the artists in the next show that's going to be presented today. So Techspressionism was first referred to as a movement in Wired magazine in 2014. The article, which was entitled "If Picasso Had a MacBook Pro," was published in conjunction with an exhibition of mine in which the manifesto was included in the printed catalog, and that was a solo show as well. It was first given exposure in terms of the term Techspressionism on television through an interview that I did with PBS, which is the public broadcasting service in the United States, public television, and that was during an artist residency that I did at a place called the Studios of Key West, which is in Florida, down in the southern part of the United States. That was in 2015. So through the pandemic, Techspressionism really changed and morphed. Up until that point, it was something that was a term that I used to describe my own work. And in the summer of 2020, I did a Google News search on Techspressionism, and I saw that another artist named Oz Van Rosen had used the term to describe her work. So I had reached out to her and asked her if she was interested in developing an artist group around the concept. So she said she was, and we had our first meetup, which we call salons, on Zoom back in September 15th of 2020. And that meetup was comprised of myself, Oz Van Rosen, and fellow artists Steve Miller and Patrick Lichty, who's here in the Zoom today, as well as Helen Harrison, who attended as an advisor. And these salons are conceived of as a modern counterpart to the surrealist salons of the 1920s, in which artists could meet informally to socialize and discuss ideas. So at the first meeting, we established the current definition of Techspressionism with Helen's help, and also the goal of bringing it into common usage as a term of art historical nomenclature. So I'd like to invite anyone on here to join us at these salons. If you go to techspressionism.com/salon, you'll see when the next one is, and there's a registration link. And those are open to the public for people to attend as visitors and viewers, but also for artists to present their work. And it's open at this point for that as well. So we developed a strategy to use the hashtag on social media to propagate the term Techspressionism. And over the last 18 months, there have been over 27,000 Instagram posts published using the hashtag. And currently on the homepage of Techspressionism.com, we have an online exhibition also built in Kunstmatrix, like the show we were just looking at, which opened in October. And it was co-curated by Patrick Lichty and myself. And this exhibition was really our first large-scale online show, and it includes artists from 26 different countries, and our initial call for entry got over 1,200 submissions. So in the past 18 months, we've put together an online artist index, which has grown from the 4 artists in our initial meetup to over 275 artists from 40 different countries. Just briefly, Techspressionism does also relate to other artistic movements of the past. In terms of expressionism, that's really about how Techspressionism involves the use of technology to express inner emotional content within a fine art context. So it's differentiated from digital art, which might include things like Pixar movies or Grand Theft Auto, video games. All of those things are things that are considered to be digital art in the sense that if you go to college and you study digital art, one component of that is commercial work involving digital tools like 3D rendering engines and graphics tools, things like that. Techspressionism is really about personal use of those tools for self-expression. Like surrealism, there's strong ideological and social components to Techspressionism, like what we're doing with these collabs and the salons. And also the manifesto would constitute an ideological component. And similar to pop art, many of the tools and techniques used by Techspressionists are also commercial means of production. Ann Spalter, who's an artist, member of our group, and the author of the textbook, The Computer and the Visual Arts, wrote on our site. She contributed to the movement page of the Techspressionism website that Techspressionism distinguishes expressive fine art results from such genres as digital art, which can include animated movies and video games. I'm just going to close with this. So we have our first physical offline show coming up this spring, which is going to be at a place called the Southampton Arts Center, which is located on Long Island in New York, in Southampton, New York. And it's going to be the first large-scale physical group exhibition of Techspressionist works. So I'm in the process currently of curating this show with Helen Harrison serving as an exhibition advisor. So, I've gone on for a little while now, and I just wanted to, thank my collaborators, Malavika, who is the first artist from India to be included in the Techspressionist Visual Artists Index, and she's also the organizer of the New Day, New Month, New Year project, which introduced Techspressionism to Indian artists, which I'm really appreciative of. Obviously, Helen Harrison, who's our project advisor and mentor. Devonte Bradley, who moderates our salons, and he created the collab project. Patrick Lichty, who's a colleague of mine from graduate school and co-curator of Techspressionism 2021. He also is a co-founder of the online community and a writing contributor, and he authored the current version of the manifesto, which is up on the site now. And Roz Diamond, who created an interview format. We also have artists interviewing other artists. Nagin Edistabian, who's the co-founder of Techspressionism.ir, which is our first international node, which is very exciting. Steve Miller, another co-founder of the online community, Anadza and Rosen. Ann Spalter, who's the curator of NFT Now, which is one of the very first curated art shows online of NFTs. Brandon Gellis, who is a co-curator of Collab #2 and also involved in this exhibition. Giovanna Sun, the curator of Techspressionism Brooklyn, which is our first physical show. Skojo, who's our Pinterest curator. Renata Yanuszewska, who's our Instagram curator. And last but not least, Jan Swinburne, our Twitter curator. So I just wanted to give some shout outs to everyone who's really helped put this together, because, I think I want to give credit where it's due. But I'm going to close with that. And I just wanted to thank you, Meghna, and Malavika. I'm hoping that everything is okay with that situation. So that's all from me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so thank you so much, Colin, for talking about Techspressionism. And now we'll move on to the next part of the exhibition, which is 2021. This is the actual first exhibition which was conceived by Kirti and Malavika. Kirti is here with us today. It was pretty much a late night call, which ended up helping Kirti and Malavika form this collaborative art space and then this exhibition. So I would like to ask Kirti if she would like to talk about this project a bit before we move on to the artworks. Okay, I don't think so. Kirti is here. So we'll just move on to the walkthrough. So 2021 is a collaborative project where 3 different artists have worked together to create 3 collaborative artworks. And then each artist has their own individual artwork. The exhibition artworks are both digital and physical. So we'll start with the first group, which is Pallavi, Lasse, and Taro. Is anyone present from the first group? Okay, I don't think so. Anybody is present? Pallavi, Lasse, Taro? Okay, no one. So we'll move on to the second group, which is Malavika, Somen, and Meena. Is anybody from that group present?
This is Meena.
Hello. Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Yeah. Yeah. Please go ahead.
Okay. This one was called Escaping the Lockdown, my individual work. And as you can see from the windows, I wound up spelling the word hope because I indulged in a lot of artwork, sewing, and quilting during that time. So I felt like a caged bird and I was trying to escape. And so that's what my individual artwork displays. Then as far as the group works, Soman made the sculpture really stunning. And Malavika made the digital lock. And so there were issues we were concerned about, shipping and duties and all this other stuff. So we worked collaboratively online, and I had to kind of measure and put artwork in each of the spaces so that it would fit. And so I wound up doing a coronavirus on a leaf on one side and hope on the other side. And at the bottom, I have a house where the umbrella has rain on the under the umbrella. And on the other side, I continued with the eye looking out. So it was all done in free motion quilting. And I added the hexagonal net to repeat the shape of the beautiful sculpture. And then I also did another work with Malavika, and I noticed her shapes reminded me of a roller coaster, so I put the roller coaster of emotions in there. And then I also did an individual work that was supposed to be continued on called A Surreal Time, where I have a lot of clocks and gears. And unfortunately, this work did not reach India yet, and it was shipped before the other works. So it was a very interesting concept, and I loved working with the fellow artists, and it was a great experience.
Thank you so much. And I'm so sorry that your artwork was unable to reach India.
This is like my worst nightmare when I ship artworks, and I hope eventually it still does turn up.
I hope so too. Maybe after Christmas and New Year. Okay, so now we'll move on to the next group, which is Akshata, Shushobhita, and Ravi. Anybody from that group is present?
Hello, it's Akshita here.
Hello.
Hi. So first of all, I'm really thankful and grateful for this opportunity, and I really enjoyed working with my collaborative artists. So I would like to talk about my individual artwork first, the one in the center. It's called Testimony of Nature. So I'm a craft-based artisan, and I love to do like tapestry weaving, which is a woven form of art. So the lockdown in one way has been a nature's call in undoing the human activities that have caused harm to nature's being, like man-made constructions, pollution, encroachment on water bodies, forests, which have been interfering with the harmony of nature. So while people sat at home, nature was kind of healing during this time. And this was the thought behind this artwork. And I tried to weave it through the organic variations of different natural fibers woven just with intuition. And I've added some metal net and symbolic elements of man-made construction. So yeah, it's like which are like delusion into nature's forms. The other artwork is called Our Ghar. So the name itself was a collaborative thought. And this is a depiction of a simplified home. So when one imagines a house, or when a kid is asked how a home looks like, this is the kind of imagery that comes in the mind. So it's like an imprint on our minds of a form of ideal home. So during the lockdown, this has been the sole space where we moved about. And this was kind of imagined through footsteps, which were going in circles, and I've depicted it through jute and ink. And so Shobhita ji and Ravi, they have added imageries of their own interpretations, like the cats and abstract forms found around them, maybe while thinking of a home. The thread work around it was added by Ravi, and he says that it's a representation of various thoughts immersed in many fantasies. So when we were home, it was also a time to look into our inner minds and reflect on ourselves. So that's what we tried to depict here.
Thank you so much.
Third one is also kind of representation of nature, which was started by Sushobhita ji, and we've added the roots and all the thread work to depict the depth, in nature, and also the healing of nature during this time. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ravi and Shushobhita, I guess, are not present. So we want
Yes, excuse me. Yeah, Sushobhita is present, but I'm not in a proper place to talk. There is a lot of disturbance, sound disturbance.
Okay, no problem.
I would love to like add my part in the group, WhatsApp group later on, and I just wish that this opportunity to interact, this continues. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so we'll now move on to next group.
Meghna, Kirti here.
Hi, Kirti.
I'm really sorry about not being able to log on time because of a collateral event in my gallery.
No, that's absolutely fine. We can talk to you. You can talk a bit about the project and 2021 when we move on to your artwork.
Sure. So in how much time? Because there's some people waiting for me in the gallery. So I'll come back if you like.
Okay, so maybe we'll do yours first and then we can move on. Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, that's very nice. And I in bits and pieces heard the talks. So I want to thank Mr. Colin first for organizing the recording of this event. If he's there still, a big thank you to you for the talk also. And it's very interesting I had the physical works in the gallery, but it's lovely to see, Meghna, how you have beautifully put it on the website, which really looks like a real space. So congratulations and thank you for it.
Thank you. Yeah.
So I think Shahid sent me a message that he's also traveling and unable to come, and his
Okay, so
yeah,
we have Kirti, and do we also have Dolly here?
Is Dolly there?
No, Dolly is, I don't think so. She's here. So please go ahead.
Yes. So I think some of you were there when we had the closure of the event in the gallery. What happened was, Shahid, the work that you have, last but one work, the one with the bag and a scarf hanging from the right side, last but one. Yes. So this particular work was started by Shahid, and very moved and touched by the migrant laborers walking home endlessly, thousands of kilometers. So he started the work, and then when the work reached me, I was completely baffled, and for days I and Malavika, we organized the show, but I was clueless about how to touch it because we've never collaborated like this before. And unlike many of the other groups, between our group, we actually wrote letters to each other to tell each other our underlying concepts. So Shahid sent a text to me about his concept. Satya Nitanga, just a minute. I'll go to a more peaceful corner. There's too much happening here. So Shahid started the work. Then I added the row of houses behind. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're audible.
Sorry for the interruption. And then when he told me the idea, I said that we were all watching what was happening to the laborers, and they were walking kilometers, homeless. These are the laborers who build homes for people, but they are homeless. So it's really a very touching theme that Shahid started upon. And then I added the houses and the steps longingly descending towards them. So I'm sure the laborers are always hopeful that there'll be a helping hand, someone will stretch out to them. And then Dolly beautifully added the fire, the warmth of a home. So this is about the work that was started by Shahid that three of us collaborated in. And then let me talk about the work that I started. The next collaborative work, yes, this one. So it's titled Vaccination or Transformation, questioning the whole thing that is being forced upon people. And I'm a believer of natural healing and developing your personal immunity system. So this hand which is puncturing the vaccine and the other hand touching with the flower is speaking about, we all have a choice actually. We want to go towards nature or we want to go towards mechanization. So this is the work I started, and beautifully, as I told you, in spite of not having had video chats with my co-artists, but we each left a lot of empty space on our paper, and the other artist beautifully resonated and completed the picture. So someone in the exhibition was telling me that the whole group looks very also united like some other groups. So this is about the collab work I started. And then if we go to the last collab work with the face, that is started, yes, the big face, which was started by Dolly. So this work she has called Shocked, I think. So we can all guess during this lockdown period when people are shocked with the kind of fate and death of close ones, and so that's a cardiograph, I think, in the background, and the shock in the eye Dolly has beautifully expressed. And Shahid has added the black pot with the halo. Again, the black pot is a very typical kind of cooking pot that the migrants use to cook the rice generally. And below that, I have added the heads of all of us who've been masked, who now accept to be masked, who are forced to be masked, upholding this head, upholding the pot. So that is about the collaborative works. And if we have another 30 seconds, I'll talk about my individual work, which is the girl with the masked face. Yes. So my feeling about the lockdown is that we have all been forced to become silent. And so the mask is like a hand gagging us. And we've started speaking with our eyes. So I'm showing the lips are in the pupils and the mouth has been silenced. So the eyes now speak more. That's what it is. So
Okay.
the
Thank
other
you
two
so
are
much. Yeah.
the other two individual works. If we can just see them. So Shahid's work, which is the extreme right. Okay, we can
Give
talk
me one
about Dolly.
second.
We can talk about this one, no problem. Dolly's work. Yes. So during the lockdown, you know, she's it's showing all that were the things associated with the lockdown. I really don't know what she means by the bright colors around, but the whole symbol of the eye, which is inside the lock, and the hands clasping the crack below. And it's like a crack being created around the lock, and the desire to fly like a kite. So you see there are a lot of hidden forms in these colored forms on either side. And you see the images in black and white behind, which is what the hands trying to reach out in the dark, the masks. So there's a lot of meaning loaded in these little images. And Dolly's eyes are very, very expressive. They speak so much. It's like the feeling she had during the lockdown, being suffocated, being locked, not allowed to go out, stranded, unable to fly. So I think that is what her feelings were. And the last picture on the extreme right is a beautiful picture about, again, migrant persons, old mother, waiting, and you see the crow on the head. So Shahid actually kind of is a minimalist, but an extreme realist. So the expression in the eyes of this person, and of course you see the red. It's also very gory. Actually, you can see the blood. It's like the migrant workers. It was a question of life and death, and they are struggling for that. And you can feel the contrast of the black and white face with the red blood, yeah, to give that contrast of the struggle for survival.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so what
Thank you so much, Kirti.
Meghna.
Thank you so much, Kirti, and thank you so much for talking about this project. We'll now move on to the group that was supposed to be before Kirti's.
Yes, I'm sorry. I will take your leave and I'll come back if I can. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. We'll now move on to the group which was before Kirti, which is Shugli, Harini, and Santi Siri. Is anybody from that group present?
Yes, Shanti is here.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah. This is Shanti.
Hello. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yep. I teach art in a university, and thank you, Kirti and Malavika, and of course, Mr. Colin. This is very wonderful that I've got to hear from you today. And we have been hearing about, well, I have also followed your Instagram. I've seen that. And your dimension and what you have expressed is very interesting. You know, I mean, this is something where it is not defined. This has been happening, but this is not defined. You have defined it. That amalgam is something really beautiful. And I'm sure this is going to give way to many other things. You said Techspressionism, and I see this when Malavika and Kirti started this collaborative art space, this reminded me of our ancestral things in India, what has been happening. India is a country which is known for so much of heritage, and none of the things were ever, done by an artist you can name. You can think of Ajanta murals or miniatures. They're never named by the artist. It's always a collaborative project. You see the huge temples, they're only known for the dynasties and the kingdoms, but never known as a so-and-so person has done it, any portion of it. So this has been a collaboration since ages that has been happening, and certain amount of collaboration has been done in India much before the years, for 100 years during the dynasties. Generations of families used to go work, and they bring in this beautiful space that you see culturally beautiful in India. So that is what reminded me when we actually started working. I felt that there is no need for us to communicate. I mean, that's what my feeling was. My work, individual work, is this, that last one, the green and fish one, pink one. So I started that. Yeah, that's my work, individual work. This I have experimented with the lino cut. Lino cut I have taken first, and there are about so many prints with different colors, because the situation is quite unexpected, and I have always learned to accept the situation and move forward accordingly. So I had never seen anything negative in life, like feeling sad or depressed or anything about it, around the situation, because when you start seeing it like that, you miss a lot, because it gives us a beautiful experience and to move ahead. So that's what my hope is. So this lino cut, in fact, got stuck with a lot of other things. So I painted on that. It's a drawing. I have done the drawing using the dry pastels, oil pastels, and of course, a pen work is also involved. This is a mixed media, lost in dream, because everything was like that during the period. But I was a person, I mean, I have been happy, like, we are still under the, I don't say the lockdown, we are moving out, we are going to the university, but I don't see any students. So we are still in the same phase. And that gave me a lot of space to think within me and understand what has happened actually. Coming to the, that happened even during the 2020-21, and coming to that work, the collab which I have started, the next work which is there. Yes, the next one. Yeah, this is what I felt. The more this is the individual work where I started. This is the first stage of the work. So when you actually started going away from the nature, you started facing all the problems with life, your existence. Any disease, you say this is a malfunctioning of some portion of your body. Why it happens? Why it happens? Why it is not happening to an elephant or a tiger or a dog? Because they do have the discipline, something the man has actually separated from him or herself with the evolution of technology. But then, provided it is taken in a positive way, we would have moved in a lot better manner. But the suffering all around the world is, when you calculate, it is, I feel that, but I am a person who has seen it like that. I have seen the sign coronavirus, which is depicted in, that period of time, it is depicted mostly in red color. I've chosen that as a blooming thing, because it's a tight slap on the face of human race to know ourselves, to awake and understand ourselves. So the next, my collaboration, please move. And Harini's work is this. Yeah, this is, yes, this is started by Harini, and I worked on it. As I said, where the world is, my other two people felt that it's locked, and we are locked really, literally. But I have seen, I have depicted that red on top as a sun that has actually thrown some light on the human living, to know ourselves. So that area which I tried my best to bring in the greens, I've seen, try to show the blooming, and everything is, despite having the Harini's abstracts where the humans are tight and they're cluttered in a space, it has been shown that way. And Shugli has started next work. Shugli is here. Mehta, is that enough, or I don't know whether Shugli is here.
No, I don't think so. Chugli is here. I think
Okay.
he was online.
Yeah. Then this is again our collaborative work where Shubli did his sculpture, the person who started the work, and he started with this embossing work, violin, and the spaces, and of course the peacock. And I have added the blue. Everywhere it is seen as a black grills, literally giving a gel impression. But I did not feel so. So I have just added some kind of color to it. And the blooms, of course, all the greens and tones of red blooming is from my part, and the yellow light added from my part. And of course, the bottom down also I have given a kind of concrete, it's not a jail. So that's the thing about. So that's a great opportunity. Thank you. It's nice
Thank you so
hearing.
much.
Meghna, thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, thank you so much. We'll now move on to the next group, which is Prajakta, Shubarna, and Koshani. Is anybody from that group present?
Yes, Koshani is here. Hello.
Please, hello. Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay. According to me, art is about connecting with people's emotion. It's personal and at the same time, it's universal. My painting is mainly about my self-expression communicated out there on the canvas. But really, I think it is everyone's expression. I am just a vehicle. The constant thoughts of the lockdown situation in the world of people being stuck and also in many impossibilities sometimes make me feel guilty to indulge myself in creating artwork. In the time of chaos, creating art is like catharsis. I was deeply shaken by that situation. I get disturbed seeing the agony, but then it is followed by a moment of quiet when I observe and absorb the happenings around and pour it onto the canvas. The lockdown has made us change the way we think and observe a lot more. We realize that our needs are so simple. For me, as an artist, this is a golden period for self-reflection. Spending time in quarantine has made me realize how, for our inner upgradation, we should follow a period of self-isolation for a few days every year. This style of thoughts are all applicable on my all of paintings, including collaborative artworks and my individual artworks. This collaboration is a new experience for me. First of all, we, the group members, share our thoughts, emotions, and feelings with each other. And after a little discussion, these pictures originate. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, I'm Subarna from this
Hello.
project only. Yes. Hello.
Hello. Yeah, you're audible. You're audible.
Audible? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, you're audible.
Good evening to all of you, and thanks to Malavika and Kirti for organizing such a beautiful project. And this lockdown, we faced a lot of turbulence in everyone's life we faced here. So all this created a new horizon to us, that where we can portray our self-expression and emotional experience that we have shown here through the canvas or through the canvas. So in this, this is a very, I think it's a wonderful opportunity for me where I portrayed my feelings and that we faced during this lockdown period. So the right one, that is my individual work, where I have tried to express the emotions that that means every one of us has passed through these emotions in this lockdown period. And though this, it also taught us that how we should be ready to adapt any situation that comes in our way, and we should never lose hope and should always have faith in us, which help us in moving forward in our life. in this particular work, I have tried to show that emotion, as you can see, the shattered that I've written, given as a hidden, where all the things in my life shattered because I lost my near and dear ones, and at the same time we have some other things also that helped us in coping out this situation that we faced during this period. The next one that I started, the left one. So in this one, I try to show myself as a calm and composed person, where I'm trying to balance my emotions so that I can face this turbulence that happened. And I think God gave us that strength and that to face this situation that we all went through. And talking about my medium, that I'm a graphic artist, so I love pen and ink, pen. And in each of the work, I tried some parts with the watercolor and with the pen, and also tried with the ropes and all to give a particular static thing that I have kept in all the 3 paintings that we have done. And about the collaborative thing, that I would like to say that though we didn't meet each other, the artists, but we were really very, I don't know how, somehow we we were able to merge our style and emotion that we have portrayed in these paintings. So and it came out very nicely, because initially I was also worried how I'm going to put my thing when the one has first projector sent the work to me. So I was thinking that how I will be able to do my work, my part. But anyhow, that somehow that with the colors and everything, I think we all 3 able to merge our work very nicely, and the whole thing came out in a very nice way. So thank you once again for giving this opportunity in this virtual world. Thank you.
Hello? Hello, Meghna, what happened?
No, can't hear anything.
Hello.
Hello, am I audible now?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah. Please. Is anybody from this group present? Patrick, Mihika, and Bikas?
Yes, present.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, 1 second. I think Patrick was here, but Patrick is here.
I'm here, and actually Bikash is here. Is that I think it would be great if the 2 of you went ahead.
Can Patrick start talking about the work, please?
Oh no, I was going to say I would rather that Mihika and Bikash I would much rather that let Mahika and Bikash speak about the work, and then I can follow up.
Please, sure. Mahika, the ball's in your court. Please start.
Okay, so first of all, I'd like to say thank you to Patrick and Bikash for giving me the opportunity to learn so much from them, and I'm really grateful. This experience has been really different for me because I'm not used to this kind of collaborative process, but it was also very exciting because I was really excited to see how they thought of what I added to their work and how they interpreted my work as well. So it was really exciting for me to see how we exchanged thoughts and how we connected over our work. And this collaborative work, the first one, where Patrick is first, for me, I personally felt that the work, by the time I got it, was almost complete. But I had to take some time and genuinely think about what I could add as a person who has, I feel like, developed a certain way of thinking and a style, a certain style, what I could add to the work. And that's where I started with inverting the work at first, and that's how the work progressed from there for me. So when I received it, the way the colors were completely different, and I inverted it on purpose because I felt at that point when I received it was very much complete, like a complete piece. So I felt very confused as to what I could add. So that's the work. That's basically how I felt about the work. And can you show my individual work as well? And group where I was first.
We'll go with your individual first.
Yes, I can talk about the individual. So the title of the work is Forever Rain. It was inspired by a song and the reason why it is monochromatic is because of the things that I was going through at the time when I made the work. So this work I actually wanted to show because I've never had an opportunity to show this work. And this work is basically me expressing how I felt during the lockdown in 2020. So I basically chose to be ignorant and not see what was going on around me, and I'm still a bit like that, but I have come to terms now that this is how things are. But this particular work was created when I was in a really dark place and not really seeing anything that was positive in the world. So basically that is my this is my individual piece. So yeah, can Bikash talk about this one?
I don't think so. It's possible for him to talk. He's just messaged that he's traveling, so it's not going to be possible for him to talk about it. Yeah.
Okay, well then I can go on. Okay. First of all, let's see here. I think that I've got my video on. First of all, I want to thank everybody at Collaborative Art Space and Malavika and everybody, and for organizing this, and of course, my friend of almost a couple decades now, Colin, for basically creating the framework that all of us are collaborating and working under, and that sort of thing. And then also Mahika and Bikash for being great collaborators in this piece. Is that my approach of, and this is not a typo, but I started working in doing digital art in 1978, actually, almost 40 years ago, as a teenager. And it's basically a little bit older than, I mean, maybe 5 years younger than some of the folks here. And I think this is a really interesting perspective for me. And but what I think, and then having gotten to know a lot of people within art history and maybe bringing this to the table. Mahika's idea of having these things, huh? Mic cut off? Okay. Is that Mahika's reflection of feeling that, you know, some of the work that I sent seemed complete, was very interesting because of the fact that I have a very certain way, and much of my work, having been part of groups like the Yes Men, Second Front, Art Mark, a number of other collaborative works, a lot of my work is collaborative. Yeah, I usually like to leave something open. My approach, say, for example, socially, I think was very interesting is because of the fact that we did actually everything entirely through text, through email. In other words, is that I was very interested myself in dealing with the work directly as a reflection of the person, as opposed to having a direct conversation with either Mahika or Bikash. And to me, that was kind of I like constraints. I like to see what constraints can create a piece of work. And for me, that was one that I thought was interesting. Also because of the fact that actually I'm talking to you from Cyprus, where I'm actually curating another exhibition at the Nîmes Art Space in Limassol. So there were some constraints on time. Going to like the process. I like the matrix and all of our the matrix of 3x3 that we had, and how we rotated, and how Mahika termed it the exquisite circle after the exquisite corpse by the surrealists. Each of their perspectives to me was very interesting. It's that, I mean, on one hand, Mahika's seemingly between poetry and photography, and Bikash's, a bit more from a bit more of a painterly perspective, and mine very deeply involved in calligraphy and artificial intelligence. So the thing is that when I started out, as Ann Spalder and Spalder does, as well as I use the Playform.io AI platform, and I would make a painting from sketches and manipulated it in certain ways, and I handed it off to either Mahika or Bikash, along with calligraphy that I've been working on for about the last year, actually probably about the last 13, 14 years in different ways. And so that seemed sort of complete. Well, that might have been a bit of a challenge. But then when I would get things from them, I thought it was very interesting in seeing, elements of poetry, elements of, the photography, elements of, these other perspectives that were definitely not mine. And then having to answer that, but then also, being deeply collaborative and being of kind of process-based movements, but having friends who were from the Fluxus movement and that sort of thing, who basically were just kind of like into the idea of just kind of going with the flow and just seeing where things go. The basic idea process of a product. I thought this was a really refreshing approach. I think that the work that came out was varied. I think it had a lot of different perspectives to it, and I'm very pleased with it. If I can talk about my own work, the piece that I submitted was a piece from that comes directly from the pandemic. It was a piece that was commissioned by a group called Nation 2.0, which is also related to a group called The Foundry, which is also related to Dubai Art in the UAE, because of the fact that during the first year of the lockdown, we were in the UAE. And what I did is that I did basically environmental 3D scanning of all sorts of all the spaces I was allowed to be in the UAE at certain times. So at the beginning of the lockdown, I could only go about 2 kilometers from our apartment in Abu Dhabi. And so I would go and I would use this app, which is now no longer around, called Displayland. I use the 3D scanner app that Apple does now, which doesn't work the way I worked with this one here. But the thing that I thought was interesting is that I went and just captured all these environments and then started bringing them into 3D software like 3D Studio Max or Blender or whatnot, and start combining them because I love the shattered nature of them. Because the scans weren't perfect, they weren't exact. And I felt that this is a representation of how our world was shattered by the pandemic. And so the piece that you see here is actually not necessarily a picture of a 3D model generated from one of the scans, but actually the texture of the surface of one of the models that was done. And that's actually the atrium of the noted Louvre Abu Dhabi. So in other words, I was inside the Louvre Abu Dhabi, inside the dome, and I scanned as much as I could of that particular environment. And then I took the 3D model and I looked at the texture that covered the model itself. And I said, wow, that's really interesting. And then I cropped, all I could without, so I didn't have any gray or anything like that. And this is what remained, is that on one hand, it was a kind of like a secondary outcome of this effect of the pandemic that, to me, I don't know, in a way, dealing with things in a Techspressionist form. I didn't want to necessarily think so much about it, but basically just, let the impression of the thing hit me and say, this has a beauty and broken nature, almost sort of like a Japanese aesthetic that spoke to me a great deal. And actually this particular piece, or a version of it, actually won one of the prizes of an international competition called the New Digital Collage that was based in Italy, in Brescia, Italy, and Paris, France. But anyway, thanks so much again. And that's an explanation of my work. And also the other thing is that the administration of the Louvre Abu Dhabi is aware of this particular piece of work, and they've given great feedback on it.
Okay, thank you so much, Patrick, and congratulations on your award. I'll just briefly go through the artworks once. This is Vikas's individual piece. And then the next one you have is, this is the collaborative artwork that Vikas started.
Yes.
This is Mihika's individual piece. And this is the collaborative artwork that Mihika started.
Yes.
This is Patrick's individual piece. And then we have the artwork that Patrick started. So thank you so much. And we'll now, and now we'll move on to the next group, which is Rohan, Aneri, and Siddharth. Is anybody from that group present? Okay, I don't think so. Anybody is present from that group. So I'll just go over them once. This is Rohan Damre's artwork, which is a video. It's long, so I'm not going to play the entirety of it. But this was his individual artwork titled The Voices in My Head. One of the collaborative pieces of this project has not yet reached to us, so we're going to have to skip that. Next, we have the collaborative artwork that Aneri started, titled It's Okay. And then we have Aneri's individual artwork, Rumination. This is the artwork, collaborative artwork that Siddharth started, titled Urge. And then we have Siddharth's individual artwork, which is Mahashunya. And now we can move forward to the next group, which is Suresh K. Nair, Negin, and Rani. Is anybody from that group present? Okay, I thought I saw someone from that group, but I don't think so. Is anybody present? I think Negin is present. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. You are audible.
No. You want to try mine? Yeah, wait.
Meghna, can I make?
No, wait. Nagin is here.
Yeah.
So hang on. Okay.
Hello, everyone. Do you have my voice?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the collaboration, and I really enjoyed that working with my collaborators. I start my talk with a quote from Theodore Zeldin that says, "Conversation is a meeting of minds." I don't have a voice?
No, you're audible.
What? Conversation is a meeting of minds with different memories and habits. When minds meet, they don't just exchange facts. They transform them, reshape them, draw different implications from them, engage in trains of thought. Conversation doesn't just reshuffle the cards, it creates new cards. So only when people learn to converse will they begin to be equal, and all inventions and progress comes from finding a link between two ideas that have never met. No, that's my internet there. So do you have my voice?
Yeah, you're audible.
Oh, okay. So just don't see the pages. Okay, the collaboration start with the idea that we are having a map, like geographic map of what we see every day, because it's like we are trapped in this quarantine daily life, especially when we are inside the home, and we see all these objects every day, and almost the geographic history of that time is all those objects around us. So this one is the work that we all work together. And it's kind of fragmented into pieces of these objects. I mean, it is not the one we started, so I cannot show you what happened from the first. This one also is the one I finished it, like a history, like cartography of those moments of seeing all this everyday life around us. The central work is the one that I worked individually, and it's about inspired by Mona Lisa. It's referring to that piece as the daily life routine when we, even the people inside a house in a quarantine, they become an object that we see every day. And sometimes it gets too much that becomes lost their meanings for us, and we forget that what they mean to us.
Hello? Hello? Okay, I think the voice just dropped. So I'm just going to go through these artworks once again. I realize not everybody in the team is present. So this is one of the collaborative artworks. This is called It Shall Pass Too. Then we have Megan's individual artwork, which is Daily Mona Lisa. We next have another collaborative artwork, which is Map of Consciousness, which was started by Rani. And the next one that we have is A Women Like You, which was Rani's individual artwork. We next have Suresh K. Nair's collaborative artwork, the collaborative artwork that he started. And then we have Suresh's individual artwork. And that finishes the group. We'll now move on to the next group, which is Brandon, Raghavan, and Debyaduti. Is anybody from that group present? Hello?
I don't think so, Meghna.
Yeah, okay. I'll just go over their artworks once. So I'll just go over their artwork once. So this is the collaborative artwork that Brendan started, titled The Art of Resistance. Then we have Brendan's individual artwork. This is the collaborative artwork that Raghavan started. And this is his individual artwork. There was also a video of it, which we are missing right now. It will be updated soon. This is the collaborative artwork that Debyaduti Saha started. And then we have Debyaduti's individual artwork, which is a video titled Liminality. And that finishes the exhibition. I think everybody who is present has been covered. Is there somebody who's present
Yes.
and they did not have an opportunity to speak?
I don't say not opportunity, but one request is that the work which we completed is not there, but one which we started is displayed. So would you mind if I share the work which we have completed?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Please don't mind. Okay, Meghna, unless you stop sharing.
I'll stop sharing. Yeah, I'll stop sharing. Is your work prepared?
Yeah, it's there. Just a minute. This is the final output of that work. Okay, which I started, and after that Chugli worked, and then Harini concluded. This is the work which is there in the gallery right now. So that's all. I thought I'll share this.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I realized that a lot of people were not present here today, and I'll just go through some of the artwork. For example, the first group, nobody was present. So I'll just briefly go through their artwork once, and then we can probably end it. So this was the first group, which is Pallavi, Shubhash, Lase, and Taro. None of them are present. Pallavi is stuck somewhere and she has very poor internet connection. So this is their collaborative artwork that Pallavi started. This is titled Circumstances. This is her individual this is her individual artwork, which is Dawn, a self-portrait. This is the collaborative artwork that Lase started. And this is his individual artwork, titled Pongal Memories. This is the collaborative artwork that Taro started. Unfortunately, this piece is not displayed the way it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be hung up on the wall. So we have a brief video of it, how it's supposed to be displayed. And then we have, this is Taro's individual artwork, which is titled Voice Gravity. We have, this is the second group. So this is Malavika, Somen, and Meena. This is the collaborative artwork that Malavika started. This is Malavika's individual artwork, Lights in Love. This, we talked about it earlier. This is the collaborative artwork that Somen started. And this is Somen's individual artwork. We have also talked about this. This is Meena's individual artwork. We then have the next group, which is Akshata, Shushobita, and Ravi. So Akshata talked about Our Ghar, which was the collaborative artwork she started, and then her individual artwork. This is the collaborative artwork that Shushobita started, and this is Shushobita's individual artwork. This is the collaborative artwork that Ravi started, titled Where to Go. And this is Ravi's individual artwork. Sorry about that. Santi Siri was kind enough to explain all of these artworks, so I'll just go through them quickly. This was the collaborative artwork that Chugli started. This is Chugli's individual artwork titled Reverence. This is Harini's collaborative artwork, the works that she started. This is her individual work. This is the first stage of the collaborative artwork that Santi Siri started. I will update it as fast as possible for the final piece. And this is the individual artwork that Santi Siri started. We have talked about all the artworks of
Meghna, you have mentioned Janardhan's work?
Yes, Janardhan's work is coming up right next.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Work is coming up right next. So this is the collaborative artwork that Dolly started. This is Dolly's individual artwork titled Lost Hues. This is the collaborative artwork that Kirti started. And this is Kirti's individual artwork. This is the collaborative artwork that Shahid started. And this is Shahid's individual artwork. The next group that we have is Prajakta, Shubarna, and Koshani. Koshani and Shubarna were present. We'll still go through this once. This is the collaborative artwork that Prajakta started. This is Prajakta's individual artwork. This is the artwork that, Shubarna started. And this is Shubarna's individual artwork. This is the artwork, collaborative artwork that Koshani started. And this is Koshani's individual work. The next group that we have is Sunita, Janardhan, and Navina. So this is the collaborative artwork that Sunita started, titled Emotions. This is Sunita's individual work. This is the collaborative artwork that Janardhan started. And this is Janardhan's individual work. This is the collaborative work that Navina started, and this is Navina's individual work. I think for the rest of the groups in 2021, we have been through all of their artworks one by one. So I'll just do the same for new day, new month, new year, so that everybody gets a look, and then we'll move forward. So this is from from new day, new month, new year. This is Shriya's collaborative work that she started. This is her individual work. This is Shobhadeep's collaborative work that he started. And this is their individual work, Shoma's individual work. Next we have is the collaborative work that Mansa started. And then we have Mansa's individual work. Next we have the collaborative artwork that Shanay started. And then we have Shanay's individual artwork. We will move on to the next group, which is Viranshi and Aprajita. So this is the collaborative artwork that Viranshi started. This is Viranshi's individual work. This is the collaborative artwork that Aprajita started with Viranshi. And this is Aprajita's individual work. Aprajita has also worked collaboratively with Aditya, which is a fact that I forgot to mention. But this is Aprajita's collaborative work with Aditya. And this is the second collaborative work with Aditya that Aditya started. Next, we have Aditya and Dhruv. So this is the collaborative work that Aditya did with Dhruv, that Aditya started. This is their next collaborative work. And then the next thing we have is Aditya's individual work. For the last group, we have the collaborative work that Ashmi started. And then next we have Ashmi's individual work. Next, we have the collaborative artwork that Sparsh started. And then we have Sparsh's individual artwork. I think we have covered every art piece that was present here. Thank you to everyone who was present. Thank you so much to Colin, who took the reins, especially after what happened a few days ago. Does anybody have any questions for Collins? Is it fine? Can Colin answer a few questions if anybody has some?
Sure.
Yeah. About tech expressionism or anything?
Yes, I do. Mr. Colin, well, can we continue a project on that on a serious note? Because to give a wider exposure to this, and there are people who are really good with work, but this kind of collaboration is required more. I mean, if you make it on an international way, it makes difference with the culture, understanding, and with the semiotics of the work. So this is nice, like we have an exhibition. Maybe sometime can we have a webinar kind of a thing to discuss about, is what I'm looking forward. I don't know whether this is the right question or not for you to respond.
Well, our salons are, basically open to anyone that would want to participate, and that's a really good starting point as far as people who want to get involved with the online community. That's kind of our most regular community building activity. We meet every other Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern time, and you can register and get the Zoom link at techspressionism.com/salon. And at that address, you could also see some past salons that have been recorded.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, as somebody who's been a long-term, member of the community and that sort of thing, I agree with Colin entirely. Is that, getting into the idea of like the ideas that have been going here and getting involved with other, other artists and setting up collaborations, that sort of thing. Yeah, just come to the salons and just start becoming part of the community, and and then start approaching people.
Yeah, and approach people after that who like whose work you like or the ideas you like.
Yeah,
it's a great starting point.
We also have, and I just wanted to announce this for the first time on this call. I just added a page on the Techspressionism site called Nodes, which is now accessible off of the main menu. And the first node is techspressionism.ir, which is Iranian artists within the online community. And I think the idea is that we're going to be, trying to build out this model of nodes in which an artist or representative artists from a particular country could start connecting with other Techspressionists that are in that same country. And our artist index on the site is a good starting point for that. And the artist index is really something where, I mean, my feeling is if people, and I was originally curating the Instagram feed, which is how I located most of the artists that are now in the index. And if people started using the hashtag Techspressionism on their Instagram posts, that's how I noticed their work at first. And if they expressed interest in being included in the index, I pretty much, added them. So my feeling is it's really about self-identification. That is, if if someone believes that in the ideas behind Techspressionism and identifies as a Techspressionist, they'll basically be listed.
I identify as a conceptual photographer.
But certainly, I would encourage you and any other artists that are interested in getting visibility within the community to use the hashtag when posting on Instagram, Techspressionism, and our Instagram curator Renata will then see the work in a hashtag search.
Oh, okay.
So you just say that as a photographer, if I want to collaborate with Techspression, I also use the same hashtag. Would that work?
I have a question. If like I am a conceptual photographer, and if I want to collaborate with Techspressionist artists, I can use that hashtag to connect with them. Can I use that hashtag to connect with
Absolutely. And Malavika actually was asking me, if she was allowed to use the word in the promotional material and everything else like that. And I would say wholeheartedly, it's not something that's proprietary, in my opinion. That is, Techspressionism to me is something that I'd like to be brought into common usage as a word in the dictionary. That would be my, ultimate goal, is a term of common usage in art historical nomenclature, not something that's a brand name or proprietary in any way. So I would encourage you to use the hashtag if you wish. Certainly, one thing we're looking for is for there to be written discourse. Recently, an essays section has been added to the website, and we're starting to grow out different areas in terms of initiatives and other things with the community. So yeah, I would say certainly use the hashtag.
I'm very curious about this field because after I worked with Patrick, I had a really amazing time working with Patrick. So I'm very curious about this field because as a contemporary artist and photographer, I tend to use a lot of different techniques and a lot of different methods in my way of creating imagery. So that's why I was asking if, if I could use the hashtag to connect with other people.
Yeah, what our curator does, Renata, and this is something that I started doing when I was curating the feed, was I search on the hashtag. If you go into Instagram and go and look up Techspressionism, there'll be two main results. One will be the account, which is sort of the curated feed, and then the hashtag. So the hashtag is every day people are using the hashtag to tag their work, and then our curator goes through it and she will share content using the hashtag to the Instagram story periodically. So that's a really good way for, artists who are interested in getting involved to get an audience for their work, some exposure. And, certainly if you're so inclined, there's also a form at techspressionism.com/salon where you can submit a request to be a presenter at one of our salons. And usually it's maybe 3 artists. It kind of depends on the format, if we have people pre-registered or not. But you could see some of the past salons where people come and they give a presentation, and those are recorded and published to the YouTube channel and to the website as well. So there's a variety of ways to get involved, but I would say, the primary ones would be coming to the salons to just get to know, some of the other people. And it would be fantastic to have some participants from India. We definitely welcome an international international participants at the salons.
Okay, thank you so much. Is there any other question? Okay, so we should maybe end it today. Hopefully we'll all see each other again very soon, whenever the next collaboration happens. My call just dropped.
And Meghna, I'm recording it
Yeah.
on my end, so I'm going to be, once it's done processing, I'll send you all the files via Dropbox, and then you and Malavika can go ahead and, do with them as you wish. But I'll
Yeah.
certainly link to this exhibition off the main site as well, off techspressionism.com.
And thank you so much for recording. And also, without you, this exhibition was not going to be possible. So thank you so much. Thank you to everybody who attended, to all the speakers, and to all the artists who collaborated and who worked together to make this thing possible. Thank you to Malavika and Kirti. And Malavika really wanted to be here, but unfortunately she couldn't. I'm sure we'll see her again very soon. So thank you to everyone, and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Hope you enjoy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
Colleen
you.
and Meghna, for organizing everything. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Meghna.
Thank you, Meghna. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Great,
Same
thanks
to
so
you.
much.
Okay,
Thank
bye.
you. Bye.
Right. Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.
Thank you, Mr. Goldberg.
Good
Happy
night.
holidays. Stay safe, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas to everyone.
Good night. For
Bye.
us,
Merry Christmas, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.